Hey guys, thanks for tuning us in for this 41st episode of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. Special guests for this episode include Sergeant First Class Sean Ambriz. We'll also visit with Diedrich Bader and Matt Iseman. If you would, please take the time to subscribe, drop a like, comment, leave some feedback, and be sure and share with your friends. Our very first guest is going to be Sergeant First Class Sean Ambriz. He's the author of the book Ghosts of the Valley. It is available now. And first off, Sean, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Now, Sean, tell us a little bit about the background leading up to the book and kind of where how it has gone since getting the word out. First off,
As far as like before the book or once it came out?
Well, kind of your story that led to the production of the book.
So, yeah, I started writing last November of last year, and the book was done in 2 months. And I just got lucky. I picked up a publisher who enjoyed the book. And weeks before it actually went out to print, we picked up all these people that wanted to endorse the book, a couple generals, a retired sergeant major of the Army, and a recent Medal of Honor recipient. Captain Groberg, he was a Medal of Honor recipient for some stuff that he did in Afghanistan, jumped on a suicide bomber and lived after detonation. So, yeah, just some heroic guys. I'm super pleased that the book has kind of gone the way that it has throughout its production time. So.
And this is kind of taking the mask off of what it looks like for military police, kind of letting just the average Joe kind of understand what goes on that they don't understand or realize.
Yeah, I mean, the book is supposed to be a connection between guys who've deployed and, there's a couple connections. You could look at the guys who've never deployed, as the war has kind of died down. And they could read this as experience. This also connects us between us and guys who have deployed and let them know that they're not the only ones, that they're not alone, that, that because they experienced trauma or traumatic events, that they're not the only ones that did, and that, there are others like us who are willing to be out there and help them and talk to them, to help calm their PTSD. It's also a gap to bridge with the old veteran community, Gulf War veterans, Vietnam veterans, stuff like that, so that these guys can see what our generation of fighting has been like, and how it's kind of changed and adapted with technology and just the modern combat. And then the last bridge is between us and the civilian community, so that, people don't forget that the past 20 years of war, we've had Americans walk this earth, do some pretty amazing things. And this is just a single reminder, talking strictly kind of on 2 specific days of 2 years of my life.
And for you, how hard was it to put down on paper and to kind of be vulnerable, if you will, about what you went through as a soldier as well?
Well, putting on paper wasn't hard. It was pretty easy. I have these thoughts every day. I think about them. I see them every day in my head. So it wasn't hard putting on paper. At first, it kind of just started out as a therapeutic thing. I just put it on paper so that I could, help myself out mentally. And it wasn't really being pursued as a book. And it wasn't until I was done that I essentially just realized, after a couple people read it, that this is, it could be good. And they looked over it and they helped reword some things, help my writing, give me some tips. And then essentially I just slapped chapters right above the stories, and the book was done within 2 months. So yeah, it really didn't aim out to be that when I first started, but it just kind of fell into my lap.
And what do you think is maybe the biggest misconception folks have about PTSD and reintegration back into humanity?
I mean, everyone's experience is different. Obviously, people who are ignorant they think the typical movie, that every loud noise makes us jump, or like the stereotypical stuff. And I'm not saying that those aren't the cases. I mean, obviously, when I came home to certain noises, yeah, they did startle me at first. But it's just kind of part of the traumatic. I mean, that's really any traumatic experience. You get in a car accident, you don't want to go near a car. It's just the way it is. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of defeat that. I wanted to kind of defeat that stigma.
And for you, dealing with this on a firsthand basis, still serving in the military, is you also had to be very careful about the circumstances and keeping things private that needed to be private as well.
Yeah, I mean, so as far as privacy, the only thing I really kept private was, before I published the book, I called the family of one of the fallen and I asked for their permission and what details they wanted left in and out kind of thing, out of respect for them. And then once I got their permission, because the book never would have gone out had they had said no, but I think they wanted people to hear the story of their son, my Lieutenant Parton. And they wanted people to know his name, know his story. The book is kind of built around his foundation that was established for him, stuff like that. So there was no secrets besides that, as far as just paying my respects to the family. And then as far as the process of going through all the information, I had to go talk to the Department of Defense and Central Command, and they had to clear the events that happened in Afghanistan, the awards that were given out, and then just essentially give me the go-ahead that all this was a true in nature and that it could be published.
And the next thing I want to know is how much have you learned from going through the publishing and the marketing process of the book now?
I've learned a little bit, but again, I just got kind of lucky because I wasn't going to go through the publishing process just because it was going to be too hard to pick up a publisher, and I figured I'd just do it myself and self-publish and just go the whole Amazon route. And then I just got lucky that I picked up a publisher, and he essentially took everything under his wing. He published it, he printed it, he shipped it, he distributed it, stores it. I literally don't have to do anything. So I have a really good publisher. He works with me and he takes care of me. So
that's good stuff. Now, if folks want to find out more information about the book and everything else you've got going on as well.
Yeah, so they can find the book on Amazon. Again, the title is Ghost of the Valley. They could also find it on Nook and Kindle, and then the audio platform will be out hopefully mid-December. They can find me on Facebook, Sean Ambriz, on Facebook, and then the book actually has its own Facebook page as well, the title Ghost of the Valley. And then I'm on Instagram a lot. I do a lot of giveaways. I partner up with a lot of veteran businesses and stuff to help the veteran community. They can find me on Instagram, Chief_Pink Mist.
All right. Again, Sean Ambriz, it's been great to visit with you. Looking forward to spending some time with the book myself. Ghosts of the Valley, go over to Amazon and check it out. Sean, hope you have a great rest of your week, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Up next is Matt Iseman. You know him as the host of American Ninja Warriors. He's also host on the Live Rescue, which airs on Fridays and Saturdays. We'll visit about the show and also the season finale coming up of American Ninja Warrior. First off, great to visit with you, and hope you're having a good start to your week.
Likewise, Cam. It's been great. My Broncos lost in pathetic fashion to the Chiefs this weekend, but it's a new day. Hope springs eternal.
There you go. And I know that tomorrow is National First Responders Day, and I know you've got new episodes of Live Rescue. And first off, I just wanted to give you a chance to talk about what tomorrow really means to you on a personal level, Matt.
Well, I'm a doctor. Before I got into entertainment, I was a doctor. I went through training, and I think when 9/11 was such a reminder of what our first responders are willing to sacrifice to help total strangers. And this pandemic has been another reminder of, so many of us had to stop work or work remotely or figure out how we would do our jobs. First responders didn't have that luxury. They didn't get a day off during this pandemic. There were still fires and heart attacks and people dealing with car crashes, and first responders have continued to show up. So to have a day where we really say thank you to those people. When you pick up the phone and dial 911, we take it for granted that someone will answer and people will show up to help us. And it's nice to have a day to thank those people who do this extraordinary job helping strangers.
And going right along with that, obviously, Live Rescue. And this is, Matt, how blown away are you by the response that you've gotten from the show?
Well, it's been amazing. I think, it's so gratifying to have a show where you shine spotlight on heroes, on people who, you know, do this job and are just, they're really so humble about it that, and when you watch, you know, for instance, last weekend we're in Patterson and, you know, there was a shooting and a woman, a guy involved in a shooting grabbed her, used her as a human shield, and the woman was shot. She was shot. And our first responders come in, and this woman is understandably just panicking here. She's just minding her business. All of a sudden has a bullet tear through her, and they stabilize her. But more importantly than treating her and treating the wounds was the way you saw them treat her and treat her sister who was there with her, and to calm them and to give them this hope. And she ended up being fine. They saved her life. But it's amazing to watch these first responders and to realize they came in only minutes after the shooting, and the police are there and the police are securing the scene. And you realize, man, that, you know, they don't know that they're not coming back. And it's just that the shooter might not come back. It's amazing to watch these people go into these situations and put their lives on the line and just see how calming they are, how professional they are.
And Matt, do you think that's something that I think you said we take for granted about the 911, but we take for granted, you think, the services that they provide, and then after it's done, it's something that's gone and we kind of put on the back burner, if you will?
You know, and that's the thing, is they don't do it for the thanks, for the accolades. They do it because I think they're motivated just to serve. It really is a breed apart. There are certain people who choose to do these jobs where they put themselves, you know, it is such a stressful job when you imagine virtually every call for them could be life or death. And sometimes they will have to risk themselves for a rescue. And to imagine the roller coaster of emotions that they must go through on a daily basis and have to deal with. And so, yeah, I think it's been great to get to know these first responders. For me, really, even as I form relationships with them through the show and staying in touch online, and just to know that there's a day where we're going to say, hey, we know you don't do this for the thanks, but we're going to say it. Thank you.
And Matt, this year especially, how much have you learned a better appreciation seeing some of the ways they're having to do with to deal with it, even in the pandemic era, as you will?
Well, it really, the amazing thing was, obviously they were still doing their jobs. We had to stop down production because we had to figure out how we could get our camera crews out there safely. But, you know, the reality was they were figuring it out. They didn't have a chance to stop their jobs and figure out how to do them safely. They had to hope they were doing it safely and figure out as they went. And it's been amazing. You know, we ride with the Patterson Fire Department, and they've really been on the cusp, the leading edge as to figuring out first responder protocols, how they can keep their ambulances clean and safe. And you know, as you think about it, it's every call where they're going out, there could be risk, but now you add on to the fact that they could be contracting COVID. And if somebody has COVID, they're having to go there and help them. They can't socially distance from some of these people. They have to be right in there, putting their hands and helping them. And it is amazing that they choose to do this job. And then, you know, they're going home. They might have families, and to realize what they could be bringing home. It really is just a reminder of how much they put on the line to do this job where they're helping others.
Sounds like you could write a book about it, Matt.
You could write a book, but I'll tell you, it's a lot easier just to turn it on and watch the show. But it does. I think it really gives you, you know, I think that's the great thing about this show is you get this appreciation, but at the same time, man, the action is nonstop. We are jumping from department to department. We're in at least 10 departments every weekend, and, you know, just showing you the gamut of calls and people. And you start to get to know the first responders we're riding with and their personalities. And it is, we really enjoy doing the show and having the opportunity to ride along with these people as they do their job. I think it is one of the most, like, you don't get a reality show with higher stakes than you do on Live Rescue, where it truly is life or death.
There you go. Now, Matt, always want to make sure and let folks know where they can keep up with everything about the show, and of course, your social media as well.
Yeah, you can always just use the hashtag live rescue. I'm everywhere. Matt Iseman, MattiSeman. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. And of course, Ninja Warrior. We have our season finale. That's coming Wednesday night. So that'll be on National First Responders Day. So it's going to be a big day.
There you go. Well, Matt, always great to visit with you, my friend. Love to see the excitement that you have in your work. Hope you have a great rest of your week, my friend.
Likewise, you as well.
And our final guest, you know him as Greg on American Housewife, Diedrich Bader, is going to talk about the upcoming season premiere tomorrow, American Housewife on ABC. First off, Diedrich, great to talk to you this morning.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me back.
Now, Diedrich, we talk American Housewife, and how unbelievable that a new season is upon us tomorrow. How excited are you about the new season?
I couldn't be more excited. You know, this is a great opportunity. My life's calling is entertaining people, and the opportunity to entertain people during a time of fantastic stress like this, incredible stress of a pandemic, is a rare opportunity. I feel like I'm, one of those performers during the Depression or World War II, of just being able to take people's minds off of it. I just feel incredibly lucky. I have the honor to entertain people during this time. So the fact that we're back is incredible to me. I mean, it definitely is different. The whole crew is in masks, and we rehearse in masks, and we test 3 times a week, and all the protocols are different. But the show, I think you'll see, is pretty much the same. We're having a really good time shooting it, and I just feel very lucky to be back on a set.
Now, you talk about the differences, and I know each season I like to ask you what's the biggest difference that you see in the kiddos, and who'd you see the biggest change in since last shooooting?
Well, I would say the biggest change will probably be the Anacat character, because we have a different actress doing it. So that's pretty different. She's a different human being in every way. So that's different. Daniel's gotten taller. Meg is pretty much the same, because she was, from last year anyway, she hasn't changed very much. But anyway, yeah. So there's been some differences, that's for sure.
and what do we look forward to? I know it's going to be a big bang in the season premiere.
Oh yeah. So the season premiere was going to be our season finale of last season, but we had to shut down production because of the pandemic. So we were halfway through, and we were shooting with Julia, and then we came back 6-7 months later to shoot the rest of the episode, and we had to reshoot the scenes that we had shot with Julia. So that was weird. And then we've been shooting like just regular. Katie starts a vlog. Greg is running for city council, so we're off and running. But yeah, that first episode was, and I'm hoping that people stay with us and still love the family and the show, because we're all pretty much the same.
There you go. Now, how high was your excitement level the first day back to the set?
It was like the first day back at school, because it's like going to a new school. I don't know how to describe it. It was so different, because the protocols, I didn't know what it was going to look like. I could not sleep the night before, because it's just so different, and I didn't know what it was going to be like. I mean, they had kind of walked us through it, but it's different when you go through it intellectually than when you're on a set and everything is different. So, everybody is all in masks and shields and these suits, and we get tested 3 times a week, and we can't eat together. We can't eat anything on the stage. It's all really different. But because we've all known each other for a long time, there's also a comfort level and a sort of solidarity, because we've known each other so long and we're doing it together, and this is a stressful time, but we're all banding together, and like a band of brothers and sisters, and so it's cool at the same time.
Now, Diedrich, we talked to you right before the season, the season final episode. It wasn't the season finale, because that's how this one's going. Now, how has your day-to-day life? What have you learned most about yourself in that pandemic, crazy quarantine time?
Well, it's been a lot of quiet time, and it's been a lot of family time, and I've genuinely appreciated it. As I say, it's like an opportunity to spend time with my teenagers who would normally be ditching me, completely understandably, because they got friends, and it's part of life. I completely get it. But yeah, this has been an opportunity to see my kids again in a very real and intense way, because we're together constantly. It's like going on a road trip in a big car, and that actually has a toilet. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, it's different. I'm sure a lot of people are experiencing the same thing. It's probably easier ultimately for teenagers to do the remote learning than it would be for, like, if my kids were in elementary school or younger, because you're so desperate for a companionship and just playing with everybody. But as teenagers, they naturally take more of a socially distanced thing anyway. So they're adjusting okay. It's been a process, I'll say, and we're doing it together, and it's been super cool. But yeah, and then my other family, my TV family, having somebody change there has been different too, and all these different protocols. It's less social because we literally are not allowed to hang out. So that's different too. So yeah, the last 6 months, 7 months have been definitely the most interesting in my life. I'll say that.
There you go. And again, American Housewife season premiere coming up tomorrow, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 local time on ABC. And Diedrich, always want to make sure and let everybody know where they can keep up with all your social media as well.
Oh yeah, so I'm on Twitter, Diedrich Bader, and if you like gardens, my Insta page is basically flowers from my garden. It really is very little else.
and we appreciate your gardening.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's my hobby, and I'm trying to make. I'm as best I can. I'm trying to be a positive influence in this world, and so I'd like to think that people can go to my Insta page and get a sense of peace and hopefully beauty, and that would be a gift that I could share, and that's my hope anyway. So on Twitter, it's mostly just for comedy.
There you go. Well, Diedrich, always great to visit with you, sir. Can't wait for the new season, and looking forward to talking again real soon, brother.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I hope you like the season. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks again for joining us for this episode of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. If you ever have a comment, question, anything else you'd like to know, find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at GQwithCam. If you'd like to help out in the funding for this podcast, feel free to click the support tab and follow the instructions. If you have a special guest idea, you can email me, gqwithcam@gmail.com. We'll be back with episode 42 coming up tomorrow.